Hello, it's me again. I haven't posted anything for quite a while, but I'm back with this video and maybe some more videos. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I'm recording on my iPhone because my fiance lost the camera batteries. Not the camera, just the batteries. Not sure how that happened, but she did it. And I don't want to wait to get them back or get new ones because there's something that I want to talk about now in the board games you can see behind me. I want to talk about a board game. So about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I think last May, I backed on Kickstarter, a game called This War of Mine. This War of Mine, based on a video game of the same name. And it's arrived. You should me on Instagram, you should have seen that it has arrived in this giant delivery box, which I'm actually probably going to keep it in. I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so it's arrived, and I wanted to make this video immediately. In fact, before I've played it, for a very specific reason. I wanted to make it before I'd played the game. So you can probably see it vaguely. There you go, I set it up and there. I haven't played it, I haven't got any plans to play it as such. I just thought I'd set it up just because I wanted to see what it looked like set up, because yeah, why not? But what is the game, you're probably wondering? So, this is a cooperative game where you don't have a character as such, you're more working together to control a group of people who are trying to survive in a war zone. You aren't the heroes of this, you aren't soldiers, you aren't epic fighters, you aren't the heroes of this world as such, you're just the people trying to survive in this war zone. I don't know the game at all, the video game at all, and I don't entirely know too much about the setting of this game. But from what I can tell, it's a kind of a Western setting. It has there's an Eastern European feel to a lot of the characters' names and things. So from what I've read, it's going into somewhat realistic element. It's a cooperative survival game in the style of Robinson Crusoe kind of thing, but with apparently much more harrowing and horrifying. Oh yes, and by the way, whilst I am recording this on my iPhone, I am also using a selfie stick. I own a selfie stick. No judgments. No judgments. This sounds like I'm being kind of vague, but that's partly the reason why I wanted to record this before playing the game, because... Let me grab the rule book real quick. The rules are written for you to learn as you play. So you've got a little journal here, and all I've done so far is done setup. So you've got setup pages, which is what you can see on the table here, more or less. I haven't gone into I haven't done specific details on the setup. But then you turn over the page to start reading the rules when you start playing. So the first time you play, you're going to turn over to the morning phase, and whoever's the leader or like the lead player, which moves around the table, is going to read that page, and you're going to do what it says, and you're going to move on to the next phase, and so on and so forth, learning the game as you play. And I didn't want to read the rules in advance because I wanted to experience that design, that choice, see how well it works, and I'll talk about that. So I'll make another video once I've played the game and I know the rules. I'll make another video talking about how that works, explaining how the rules work in general. But as I say, if you are getting this game, you can play it that way. You can just jump in and learn the rules as you play, which just sounds really interesting. Sounds like a really interesting idea. But I can tell you some stuff, so I will. Why not? So let's look at the board as it is now. This is a no spoilers review, and I say that because this is a story game. This is a very narrative focused game, and you have this book of scripts that you're going to go through. You can see there's hundreds and hundreds of scripts in here, that will tell the story of the game that you are playing. I've also got books here you can see for some of the expansions and Kickstarter, what the Kickstarter was, stretch goals. It says in that book there about stretch goals, stuff there. So it's all, again, this has got more scripts in it. This Heart of the City one. So there's just a ton of story here. I don't know how much story. It looks like you could play it a lot before you started repeating yourself. Or at least if you repeated a few things here and there, you wouldn't have the same sequence of events. But anyway, you begin the game with 3 characters here. I've just drawn 3 at random, and they go on the board in their little bases. You have little colour tokens so you can differentiate which is which. And they have abilities and spirit. Again, I don't know what any of this means. They have prowess, empathy, and inventory. I don't know what any of this means because I haven't seen those parts of the rules. But you have their figures on the board, and from what I can tell, this is going to be worker placement, and you're going to be sending these guys to do various things, visit these locations. I guess you're going to just send them out to do things, either building up this house, which is what the bulk of the board is. This building, which you can see is full of rubble, closed doors, and heaps. And you're going to be clearing out this space to build a shelter. Essentially, it goes down all the way into the basement here. building a shelter for you to survive in and bring in other survivors. You'll explore these locations. Again, somewhat guesswork here. Explore these locations to find stuff. And there's hundreds of stuff. There's loads of decks. You've got exploration deck, residence, findings, night raids. There's an event deck up here which should begin with chapter 1, which will tell the overall story of the game and ultimately lead, I'm assuming, to the goal, because as far as I know, the goal is just to survive. There are some story modes that can be one of the stretch goals, but the main game, I actually don't know what you're trying to do. I'm assuming it's going to be revealed in these cards, which I haven't read because I want to be surprised the first time I play. We also have objective cards here, which again I assume are going to play into the overall, what the point of playing the game is. Visitors, extra character cards, so when you meet new people, things you can build, things you can invent. The fate deck, again I haven't looked at it, I don't know what that means. Narrative actions, again I haven't looked at any of these colours. This is just, I'm not sure about this one either, this is just colours. There's 5 colours and there's a card for each of them, which are going to be drawn randomly at some point. Another interesting part of setup is that it advises that you use the box to basically store all the supplies. There's quite a lot of tokens and things, different coloured tokens and injury tokens and like that, and it gives you a little diagram that says, hey, stick them in the box. This 9-hole box once you've emptied it, obviously, for the game. Which I thought was pretty cool. It's cool concept. I've also got the stretch goals box, which is really convenient. I've bagged up all of the expansions. I put some of the figures in there, and it's just quite a useful little box for keeping everything in, rather than having hundreds of expansion boxes lying about. And that's possibly the reason why I'm probably going to keep it in the big box. In addition, thanks to stretch goals, I've got some fancy dice, fancy versions of the dice, and I've also got this rubble dice that I got from one of the bonuses. The rubble dice has its own little chart that does things. Again, I don't know when you do that, when you're taking actions. I assume that's something you can do when you're searching through the wreckage for supplies. Also, you have this, a save sheet. Again, I'm not 100% sure how this comes into play. There's a campaign element to the game, so maybe it carries on, or maybe the game is just too long to play all in one go. But as you can see, it's got a layout of the entire house here, location, so you can basically save your game, a similar way, I guess, to Time Stories, which I reviewed before. Again, as I say, the journal, the only rules you get is just setup. You get setup, and then you start playing the game. It doesn't even tell you what the objective of the game is here. It doesn't tell you what you're trying to do, really, at all. On top of that, there's also this double-sided card that says The Last Day on it, or Endless Night, which is kind of the end. The war has ended. On this side, it just says the war changed everything. So I don't know. Again, this is the end of. This is what happens at the end of the game. One of these two things. I don't know. But I do have these scenario sheets as part of the stretch goals, as part of the expansions. So I've got Refugees, Epidemic, and Blood in the Snow, which are 3 separate stories that you can play through instead of whatever the main story is. I'm guessing the main story probably changes. One other thing I want to mention that I did get with all my extra stuff is this city map. So as I said before, you have this book of scripts that has hundreds of scripts in it, and this was a bonus thing to purchase, was this city map that has all the locations all over the city that you're presumably in on it, and they have numbers on them which I'm guessing refer to the book of scripts in some way, or chapters or paragraphs in the book of scripts. It didn't come with any instructions, so I'm not 100% sure what we use this city map for. I'm hoping it comes up at some point. It literally came just by itself. I don't think with any cards or anything, unless I shuffled them in without realising. But yeah, it just came like that. I'm not sure what for. One thing I'll say about it is that it is ever so slightly too big to fit in the box, which is like, it's just a bit of a silly design flaw there. Come on guys, seriously, look at that. It's like what, half a centimetre over. Couldn't have made it ever just a bit smaller, just so it could fit in there. That's just annoying, that is. So yeah, as reviews go, that's pretty sparse. Again, I say I haven't played the game, so I can't, strictly speaking, review it, and because I haven't played the game, I don't actually know the rules, so I can't describe the rules to you. But I will make another video once I've played it, going through a rules explanation and going through my thoughts on the game, obviously. But I really like the look of it. I really love the sound of it on when it was Kickstarter. That's why I backed it on Kickstarter. I really like co-op games, and I'm okay with a dark theme, which apparently this is. Apparently this is pretty a bit intense even for that kind of game. Like Robinson Crusoe is a fairly intensely oppressive game. Someone once described it, I think, on the Dice Tower as suffering in a box. And it kind of is. It's kind of like just the game just sort of punching you, and you're just hoping to get to the end of it. And that's kind of what I'm expecting from this. But I'm okay with that. I don't mind that at all. I don't think you're going to be big and heroic. I think you're just trying to get from one step to the next and stay alive. But hey, it looks awesome. It's got a ton of stuff going on in it. There's like loads of expansions in the deck that are modular, so you can add them, chop them in, chop them out. I'm not going to add any of them, obviously, for my first couple of games at least. But the it just looks really cool. I just really wanted to make a video about it just because it sounds pretty fun, and I'm looking forward to it. If you have been missing me somehow, for some reason, then you can find me on my podcast, the Deleted Scene Podcast, which I produce in association with Acting Hour. I'll put a link in the description, but look for the Deleted Scene Podcast on iTunes or whatever podcasting app you may use. It comes out every Wednesday. It's a couple of hours long. It's us talking about movies and TV and Netflix and web stuff and basically entertainment in general. So yeah, find that. That comes out every week, and I'm going to try and post more videos, as I say, particularly board game related. Find me on Twitter at Christian's Brain. Christian's spelled with a K. Christian spelled with a K. And you can find me on the One Bearded Man on Instagram and the One Bearded Man on Facebook as well. So yeah, find all those things. If you enjoyed this video is a bit random because obviously, like I say, I can't say a huge amount about the game because I don't really know what it's like. But yeah, if you just hope this was vaguely interesting. Thanks for watching. The end.